it will be a lot more persuasive, a lot more effective, and will really help Bob. Or if it doesn't do that, it's just going to ease your boss of one more decision. And probably what will happen is they'll just say, in light of all the things that just suddenly popped in my head, at least this is one thing I can do. Fine, send Bob in and I'll talk to him and tell him he's interim.
Yeah, the other thing it does is it eases the concern a little bit on your boss in terms of what you're going to do relative to departing and ripping everybody worthwhile out of the organization and taking them with you.
Exactly. and that's a very real, particularly as you get higher in the organization, and in certain industries it's more prevalent than others, but that can be a hugely worrisome thing for executives a couple of levels up. Next is making those lunch appointments. So you should be filling up your calendar over the next 6 weeks with lunch appointments with people that you want to have lunch with and people you want to stay in touch with. We're going to talk more about this one later. We'll go into more detail.
Right, and you're not telling them why. I mean, you're just scheduling the lunches.
Right.
And
yeah, that's the key. That's the key. You're just going to make lunch appointments. Hey, I haven't talked to you in a while. Let's have lunch. Okay. Lastly, tell no one. Horseman's sixth law: there are no secrets.
Well, I mean, certainly you can tell your trusted second command, right? I mean, come on.
No, other than your spouse.
Well, how about my friend in a completely different department?
Nope.
No, so no one.
What about your admin?
Yeah, well, what about your admin? Yeah.
Nope. Nobody.
Wow.
Period. Spouse. That's it.
You're hardcore.
Mike, think of it this way. How many people at the acquiring firm already know?
Oh, a lot.
Let me tell you. 50.
Oh, yeah.
How many of those are talking to recruiters, talking to friends of yours at your company? Yeah. It's already out there. You're already at risk. The only thing you're doing by telling somebody is making it happen immediately.
Right.
Any grace period you can get, you should take advantage of. Quite frankly, it's none of your business until you tell your boss.
Right. And not to inflate egos, but if any manager resigns, it's big news. People want to know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly right. Yeah. So what you're getting at is that this rumor has legs, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. It spreads. It's wildfire. Exactly right. Yeah. You're probably thinking yourself as just a cog in the big system. That's not the way people around you think. If you're a manager, people pay attention.
Well, it's just to expand on it a little bit. It's more than that. It's just gossip. The fact is, when a manager resigns, a vacancy opens up. The whole power, there's a power vacuum that's going to occur, and so people are interested in it for very, very selfish reasons. Like they may want your job, or they may want the job of the person who's going to get your job. I mean that.
Yeah, it is amazing to me. Well, I had somebody tell me the other day when I made a comment about The Apprentice on TV and how it just shocked me that people were thinking they were learning about the business world from The Apprentice. And they said, well, you can actually learn a lot. If it's not from The Apprentice, you could learn from Survivor. And I thought, dear Lord, people think that kind of backstabbing and false collaboration and false relationship creation in order to win is something that works in the corporate world. I want those people to work for me so I can have the specific and distinct joy of firing them.
Did you not see the Survivor one where they were the guy in charge of one particular tribe was doing one-on-ones with their folks every week?
No, I missed that.
You missed
one.
that? Oh, you gotta watch more TV, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that'll get me somewhere. Yeah, I'm stunned that people act as if there are not repercussions. And there's so much of a selfishness in a lot of our culture, Mike. And I don't think this is just U.S. culture. I believe this is globally becoming more true. And I think people, the definition of a professional includes someone who thinks about their role in an organization rather than just about themselves.
Okay, that's the end of part 2. We'll finish this topic up next week. In the meantime, please join us on the website and on the discussion forums. If you haven't gone there lately, you'll want to. Lots of interesting things happening in Manager Tools land, and, more on that to come shortly. Also, our monthly registered podcast will be probably out by the time you hear this. I know, I've said it before, but I really mean it this time, so don't miss out on that one as well. If you're not registered, it's free and it's easy. Just visit the website at www.manager-tools.com. Well, that's it, folks. Thanks, and we'll talk again next week. So long. Welcome to the Manager Tools podcast for Monday, August 7th, 2006. Hi everyone, this is Michael Ozan and welcome back to Manager Tools. Today's show is the third and final part of our series on resigning. Now, if you're new to Manager Tools and haven't heard the first two parts, you'll want to go back and listen to them first. You can find them on our website at www.manager-tools.com or find the shows through your podcatcher of choice. In addition, some have been asking where to sign up for the premium content we've been promising. Well, I'm almost there with the integration work, and yep, it's all on me right now, folks. But progress is being made, so please hang in there, and we'll get there pretty quickly. Okay, with that, let's go finish up our conversation with Mark about the professional way to resign.
Okay. So that gets us through all of our preparation. Now we go to phase 2.
Yeah, I wonder how many people are still listening to us.
I know. Yeah.
We should do a little contest here. If you're listening now, send us an email.
Yes.
And you'll get whatever.
Phase 2, delivery. This is the phase that most people focus on. You should know how to do this well. It's very simple to do it well. It's not complex. That doesn't mean it's easy, but it is simple. And there's some simple things we need to walk through here. I think there are 9 steps here. 1, don't do it in writing. I don't care what anybody's told you. Do it privately to your boss and your boss alone. And by the way, that doesn't include hanging around after a meeting. You never do it in anger. Hopefully we've beaten that horse enough. And you should say nothing negative in any way to anyone about anyone ever, period. There's a right way to do it. You actually say, I'm resigning. Then you say something nice, and then you discuss timing of when you're going to leave. And we'll give you some examples. You don't have to answer any questions, folks. None. Again, we've talked about this before. Be ready to be escorted out the door. Have your transition file with you, ready to share. And then, again, tell no one, no matter what, once you've talked to your boss. It's not your place.
Right, except your admin.
No.
Oh, okay.
No one.
Yeah, we beat that horse too. Okay.
Yeah, we did. Okay, so first thing, we do not resign in writing. Please do not prepare a resignation letter and print 2 copies and only pick up one at the copier and then discover that you lost that other job you had and then suddenly have your resignation letter found by a cleaning person or by your boss at the copier at 8 o'clock at night.
That's happened. It's funny when it does, but it
happens. Yeah, it happens. Yeah, all the time. There's no requirement legally for firms to have written notification. Lawyers tell them it'd be good, and HR says you should do that. There's no requirement at all. It's in most employment situations, unless you have a contract, of course, that's a different situation, usually for more senior people or for external. We're talking about employees, managers, as opposed to senior executives. You're an at-will employee, which means you can be fired at will, simply for being who you are. Some managers ask for something in writing, but HR often doesn't know what to do with it anyway. sometimes firms have a standard form you just sign, say I hereby resign and here's the date. But when you put things in writing, particularly at the start of the process, you're reducing your flexibility. It goes places you can't control. It gets an HR person's desk, and then your manager says, by the way, we got a $50,000 pay increase. We'd kind of like you to stay. But the HR person at the same time is working on your resignation and shutting down accounts and rearranging things and taking your name off of succession planning and everything else. It gets messy. So verbally only until all the details have been worked out, and only then if your boss insists. And if your boss in the course of an interview says, I'd like something in writing, say, well, I'd prefer not to give you anything in writing until we agree on the details. Now, I suppose he could certainly say, I've never had it happen to a client of mine. He could say, no, I want it in writing on this date, before, on today's date with an open-ended ending before we move forward. Then you can say, no, I won't do that. But I've never had a manager do that. I've had too many managers go in with something in writing and then want to change it and have multiple copies made and different dates on the different copies, and oh, what a mess it can be.
Well, and to some extent, a written resignation, unless you're required to do it, but a written resignation when you're not required to do it has the air of, stick it in somebody's face. It
does.
There's an emotional content to a written resignation that isn't necessary if you want to leave under decent terms.
Exactly. It says it's formally done, and there's no wiggle room or anything else. You'll get a stone-faced look from a manager in many cases, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Part 2. We want to do this privately to your boss and your boss alone, in her office, where she feels most powerful and least vulnerable. Okay. I've actually heard, Mike, people say, you got to do it at the end of the day. I don't particularly ascribe to those. The manager often wants to make some phone calls to HR, to other managers, to their boss, or whatever. And if you do it too late in the day and they don't feel like they're getting anybody and they want to react quickly with a counteroffer or be able to talk to you or have your mentor visit with you, I'm not saying you can't do it at the end of the day. I just don't think there's a particular time of the day that's inherently better or that has some hidden benefit associated with it. Well, I don't have any preference on time.
Well, the question is who you're trying to make it easy for. If you're trying to make it easy for yourself, so that you do it at the end of the day, so you don't have to go through a whole day of looking your boss in the face or whatever. That's a cheap cop out, frankly. But that's the most recommendation I hear when people say that it's making it easier on the person resigning. For the person for the boss, I don't want to end my day that way.
Right.
Matter of fact, I'm probably going to have a late night because now I'm going to sit there and start thinking about what I'm going to do about it.
And what's more, Mike, if I resign to you, if I'm an above average employee, if I'm a manager and you're my director and I resign to you, what's one of the thoughts that goes through your head that's probably not in my head? What are you thinking from your perspective about my resignation if I'm one of your above average managers?
Who you talk to, who knows? I'm thinking about the consequences to the organization.
Yeah, and how that affects how you look to your boss, right? I mean, if there's a retention problem, if there's a turnover problem in the organization, a lot of directors I know go, oh my gosh, I've only got 4 managers. This year, my turnover among my managers is now 25%.
Yeah, maybe.
If I lost somebody else at 50%, I'm in trouble. I'm in a red flag situation. The VP is going to want to know what happened. But they're so busy worried about the VP, they don't ask intelligent questions of the manager, and they don't handle the transition well. So we end up worried more about the selfish issues around how it's going to affect the manager, the director in this case, rather than about how can we make sure the team is smoothed out so that we get great performance going forward. And that's why we do this professionally.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
We never resign in anger.
Oh, that's no fun. So much.
Yeah.
You feel so
Everybody
much better
wants
doing
that moment of righteous indignation. But look, if you can't resign without anger, Mike, even if your spouse has been insulted and you have been accused of heinous acts, if you can't resign without anger, you do not have the temperament to be a manager. If you're worried about doing it without a quiver in your voice or without some moral rectitude sneaking in and sending a message that you're saying everything just right, but it comes across as I hate you, then practice with your spouse or prepare a statement that you don't